Did you know that the dream of walking across the world didn't end with Dave Kunst? Today, we meet someone who took this challenge to an entirely new level. Meet Karl Bushby, the man on an extraordinary mission to walk the longest continuous route around the globe, all on foot. Now imagine not 5,000 kilometers, not 10,000, not even 25,000, but a staggering 47,000 kilometers. A journey spanning 25 countries, 6 deserts, 7 mountain ranges, and 27 years, all for a single goal: to circle the world entirely unsupported. So how did Karl manage the impossible? Welcome viewers, Retro Realms. The most dangerous and thrilling part of Karl's journey was only beginning. After emerging from the treacherous Darien Gap, he faced the wilds of Central America, dense jungles where survival was never guaranteed. Here, the dangers weren't just natural. Guerrilla gangs roamed, and every step forward was a test of courage. Crossing the Panama border proved even more harrowing. Karl was arrested by local police and spent 18 grueling days in jail. But true to his unbreakable rules, the moment he was released, he resumed his journey exactly where he had left off. Each country in Central America brought new trials. Visa issues, endless waits at borders, and constant movement between tiny nations, every obstacle a challenge to his patience and perseverance. By 2002, Karl had crossed Central America and entered the United States. He navigated busy highways, braved the relentless heat of the Sonoran Desert, and faced harsh terrain rivaling the deserts of Chile. By 2005, he reached Canada and Alaska, where the weather transformed into a merciless opponent. Bitter cold, snow, and impassable terrain became his new reality. In some remote regions, where roads didn't exist, Karl relied on dog-sled trails to find supplies and map a path, but he never accepted outside help, honoring his strict rules. Then came the ultimate challenge: crossing the Bering Strait. This frozen, deadly sea separating America and Russia was a constant battle. Massive shifting ice flows, freezing waters, and the looming threat of hypothermia made each step, or swim, life-threatening. Karl completed this perilous stretch with French adventurer Dmitry Kiefer. For 14 sleepless days, they endured Arctic storms, ice, and exhaustion, a grueling testament to human endurance. Finally, when he reached Russia, a new obstacle emerged. Russian authorities detained him, despite his valid visa. The problem: the Bering Strait wasn't recognized as an official port of entry, and Karl was deported back to the UK. For most, this would have been the end of the dream, but for Karl, it was merely a temporary setback. By now, he had become a renowned figure, and his determination burned stronger than ever. Where today we'll dive into the story of a man whose footsteps are rewriting the limits of human endurance. Karl, a former English paratrooper, began his daring quest on November 1, 1998, with just $500 in his pocket, starting from Puerto Arenas at the southern tip of Chile. He called this adventure the Goliath Expedition. His plan: cross the Americas, reach Russia, traverse Asia, and finally return to England. The total distance: about 58,000 kilometers. By his own calculations, walking 19 kilometers a day, he could have completed it in 8 years. But destiny had other plans. 27 years later, his journey continues. Karl set 2 unwavering rules for himself. No motorized transport, no cars, no trains, no planes. Every step must be on foot. Never skip a step. If the journey is interrupted, he resumes exactly where he left off. These rules seem simple, but Karl has paid the price: years of isolation, visa issues, and constant danger from the elements and wildlife. He began by crossing South America's harsh, unforgiving landscapes. Cold winds of Patagonia, the towering Andes, the merciless heat of the Atacama Desert, each step a battle against nature itself. He recalls, "In the Atacama Desert, I only stopped when I could find water. Crossing South America was just the beginning. The real test awaited him: the Darien Gap." This 320-kilometer stretch between Colombia and Panama is one of the most dangerous regions on Earth: dense jungles, venomous snakes, and countless hidden threats. His story had captured the imagination of millions, which is why even UK Deputy Prime Minister John Prescott and Russian businessman Roman Abramovich stepped in. Their intervention allowed Karl to continue his journey through Russia, but the path forward was anything but easy. His visa was valid for only 90 days at a time, forcing him to exit and re-enter Russia repeatedly. Sometimes delays stretched for months. In 2008, his funding ran out, forcing Karl to pause in Mexico for 2 long years. Then, in 2011, once funding was restored, he re-entered Russia, making his way across frozen rivers and icy tundras deep into Siberia. Every step here was a gamble with death, yet Karl never wavered. Each year, he walked only 3 months, spending the remaining 9 waiting for visas. In 2013, Russia imposed a 5-year ban on him. Most would have protested in traditional ways, but not Karl. Instead, he walked 48 kilometers from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C., arriving at the Russian embassy to make his case. Media coverage followed, and by 2014 the ban was lifted. With a renewed Russian visa, Karl resumed exactly where he had left off. From Siberia, he crossed into Mongolia, trekked across the 1,130-kilometer Gobi Desert, then entered China, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan, only to be stopped again by Iran's visa restrictions. The pandemic added more delays in Turkmenistan. When the Iranian visa never arrived, Karl turned his focus to the Caspian Sea in 2022. With a small kayak, he completed a 288-kilometer journey in 31 days, paddling 6 hours each day and sleeping on the kayak at night. Karl recalled, "I don't like swimming, but it was necessary." Finally, he reached Azerbaijan and resumed walking. By 2025, he had entered Turkey, where his fame preceded him. Villagers offered him food at every stop. Crossing the iconic Bosphorus Bridge in Istanbul, he finally entered Europe, and authorities allowed him to continue on foot. After 27 years of relentless effort, Karl has just 3,000 kilometers left. His goal: walk through Bulgaria, Romania, Hungary, Austria, Germany, and France, and finally return to the UK. If all goes as planned, by 2026, Karl will take the final step at his own doorstep, completing 58,000 kilometers, the equivalent of 1.5 times around the Earth. Karl's incredible journey proves one undeniable truth: humans define their own limits. We can achieve what we set our minds to. As he once said, "Life doesn't stop, it just changes the path."